Have you ever wondered what it takes to be successful? Maybe you've even researched it and then you start finding out that, hey, there might be certain things that are counterintuitive to what you studied. Well, we're going to figure that out while reviewing the book of Barking Up the Wrong Tree by Eric Barker. Now, to understand this a bit more, I feel like we have to read the second title, which is The Surprising Science Behind Why Everything You Know About Success is Mostly Wrong. So this is an interesting title. Let's go into the 5 best ideas that I got out of this book and let's figure out what is success. Coming up. If you're new here, my name is Christopher Dedeyan. Welcome to my channel, the #1 place for peak performance, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. So the first best idea of the book is school versus real life. Now, I love that he mentions this when it comes to success. And what he says is that, in fact, the education system doesn't prepare you to succeed in the real world. If you just look at valedictorians, which he mentions within the book, these are people that are succeeding very high in school, getting the high grades, but they're not people that are going to succeed in the real world because they're not people that are going to shake up the industry and be a bit more outliers or mavericks within the industry that are going to change something. They're people that are going to do what they're told and they're going to be in their box and get that done. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a valedictorian either, and there's a place for that. He's just correlating it, seeing the difference of like, hey, if you want to be highly successful, you might want to think a bit differently and act a bit differently, which the school doesn't permit that. And there's 2 main things about the education system that he explains that doesn't really prepare you to succeed. Number 1 is the fact that school rewards people that do what they are told. So once you do what you're told, you will succeed in the school system. A lot of people that I know usually write in thesis what the teacher wants to hear because they know that's what he wants to hear and they're going to get a better grade instead of writing potentially what they believe within that thought pattern or that ideology, but they won't write that because they want to get a higher grade. So that's one example over there. The second thing is that school amplifies generalists instead of being somebody that's a more specific talent. And that is counterintuitive in the real world. So if we take an example of a doctor, right? A general doctor makes X amount of money, but a neurosurgeon makes so much more because he's more specialized in that particular field. Now you might say, Chris, that example is not necessarily very good because the difference between a general doctor and a neurosurgeon is a lot more years of study. You're accurate and you're right within that, but it just shows a little example. Let me give you another example with the same education level. Let's take, for example, a mechanic, right? Somebody that's a car mechanic. Now, the guy that's in the corner of your street that's a general mechanic is paid X, Y, and Z. But an expert mechanic that only works on one specific model of car gets paid so much more than the generalist. Now, they come from the same level of education. So why does one get paid more? Because he has studied the craft of one particular vehicle. So he's built an expertise. So that's why it costs more expensive to take your car to that specific person that knows that model of the car you have, than instead of bringing it to the general garages, because it's going to take so much more time to figure out what's the problem, try things, this, that, and the other. And that is going to be less expensive. Toward if you want to know right away what the problem is and figure it out, you're going to pay value for that. So that's the difference between the school versus the real world. It is counterintuitive when it comes to what you really need to succeed in the real world. The second best idea of the book is extrovert, introvert, and ambivert. Now, this is my favorite idea of the book because I learned a lot about these 3 categories. Whatever you're doing in life, you're probably going to have to deal with some people. And if you want to succeed, you're probably going to have a good relationship with the people that you deal with in one way, shape, or form. Now, to do so, let's break apart these 3 characteristics and see what we can learn from them. So the first one is extrovert. Now, research has shown that time and time again, people that are extrovert make in average more money than people that are introvert and ambiverts. It's because usually these are the people in the meetings that speak first, they speak more often, and because of that, they get roles of leaderships. Furthermore, people that are extroverts are usually the people that have the biggest network because they're out and about, taking drinks with people, meeting people, and connections happen. And by connections happen, then you start meeting other people and more opportunities come about. That's the extrovert in itself. Now, that being said, does it mean that for you to be successful, you only have to be an extrovert? No. Actually, introverts, there's a lot of success parts to introverts as well. Now, when it comes to introverts, they're usually the people that are the most proficient within their work. So that means they're the best at the work that they're doing. And why that is because they're people that when other people are out taking drinks, partying, this, that, and the other, they're probably in their home, in their office doing the work. So they get really, really good at what they're doing. And in fact, a lot of the greatest creators that we know, that we idolize, from Einstein to Galileo, are people that are more introverts. Furthermore, 9 out of 10 professional top-end athletes consider themselves more introverts. And that makes sense, because these people have to be so in zone in their own little bubble and put in the work, put in the time to become phenomenal at their sport. And there's an actual study that we've spoken about several times on this channel, which is the concept of the 10,000 hours theory to become a master. So introverts have an easier time to get at that point of being 10,000 hours of a job done to become experts at it. Towards the extroverts are out and about connecting with people, so they have less time working on their pro efficiency. Now the third part, which is the part that I really was amazed, and really I love the way that Eric Barker presented in the book, is the ambiverts, which the ambiverts is somewhere in the middle. So what does this say? This whole aspect of an ambivert, he explains that it's not no like clear-cut thing of like, hey, I'm an extrovert, or hey, I'm an introvert. There's a spectrum, and that spectrum somewhere in the middle is somebody that is an ambivert, which I love that ideology. So the ambivert is somebody that is going to be able to be extrovert at certain places and be able to be introvert at certain places to do the proper work that you need to get proficient at your work in itself. If you're somebody that is more extrovert, then maybe look at some opportunities to develop your skill and be more proficient. And if you're somebody that's more introvert, look at what you need to do to go out there, because when it comes to being an extrovert and being like networking and all that, these are talents that you could develop, and the opposite is true as well. So if you are somebody though, that you know yourself, like, you know what, I don't like being with people, then be an introvert, dive yourself into the work, and you're gonna be just phenomenal at the work you're becoming. You're gonna be a master at it, and people are gonna recognize you towards it. Now, if you're somebody that loves working with people, then just take those roles of being an extrovert. Go out there. You don't necessarily need to do what you need to do to be by yourself. Get in a team environment. So really look at what your strengths, your weaknesses are, and optimize what you want to optimize. So it's not necessarily being extrovert, introvert, it's about being ambivert. You're somewhere in between that scale. If you see there's some value within this video so far, don't hesitate at all to give me a like, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the bell notification to find out when our weekly videos come out. So the word of the book that I picked for this book is monomaniac, which means mental illnesses, especially when limited in expression to one's idea or area of thought. Monomaniac. The third best idea of the book is self-confidence versus self-compassion. Now this is really important to understand both of these over here, because self-confidence is extremely important for you to succeed. In one way, shape, or form, you have to have a certain level of self-confidence. Now, one example that the author gives within the book is the chess match between Garry Kasparov and Deep Blue, the IBM machine. Now, this match was done in 1997. It was the second time that they were playing against each other. The first time, Garry won, and Garry is a master chess player. Now, during this match, the machine did a specific move that didn't make sense. It was almost like a gambit. So he gave away a piece. A gambit essentially is when you give away a piece or sacrifice a piece to attack otherwise. So once he did this move, Garry was looking at it and trying to understand, why did he do this move? Does he know something that I don't know? And he started doubting himself. His level of confidence completely went down, and then he started doing rookie mistakes as moves. And the only reason the machine did that move is because they programmed it after a certain amount of time. If they don't know what to do, the machine, he just does a random move, and it was a random move in itself. But unfortunately, Garry couldn't look at this machine and understand what the body language was doing, such as a human being. It's a machine. It doesn't have a body language. It has no feeling. So that's one aspect of confidence. Furthermore, within the book, they explain that people that are better looking usually make more money than people that are not. Now that's interesting in itself. They explain that ladies that are prettier make 4% more than the average, and guys that are handsome make 3% more than the average. Now the question is, why is that? It's not because they're better looking, it's because they believe they're better looking and they're more confident because of it. Because society tells them, oh my God, you're beautiful, oh my God, you're handsome, they start believing it. As they start believing it, the confidence level goes up. So everything is linked up with the confidence when it comes to your success on that way. Now, when it comes to compassion, that's really important as well to succeed, because compassion is somebody that looks at yourself in a different perspective, and you don't put the ego on top of it. You don't think that, oh my God, I'm the best, or oh my God, I failed at this, I suck. You're almost looking at it at a relaxed level. And the more compassion you have towards yourself, the more you are relaxed, the less you are anxious, the more you're going to be productive. And not only that, you're going to be able to take more risks because you're not afraid of the failure aspect, because you're not necessarily too attached to the result. So because you're somebody that's more compassionate, you're going to take some more risks, which is going to bring some more success and positive results. So these are two parts that are extremely important for you to succeed. The fourth best idea of the book is playfulness equals success. Now, sometimes doing more is not the answer. Sometimes doing more is not even possible. Sometimes just taking a step back and relaxing. As you are more in that playful state, you're going to be able to find certain solutions to the problems that you potentially have. Now, this is not only on the aspect of finding solutions, but it's as well in the aspect of learning. You learn best when you are in a playful mood. And it's actually, studies have shown this time and time again. Understanding that you might need to take a little break. And one way to look at this is a study that shows if you do more than 55 hours of work a week, if you do any additional hours more than 55, you're actually not really productive. Anything that you're doing is not really valuable in that time frame. It's better to do 55 great solid hours with intention and then take a step back and relax, recharge yourself. This is the way you have to look at it. And that could be through a break, that could be through vacation, whatever the case is. So a big part of success is having fun and being playful. So look at it. Are you only doing the work? Are you only pushing? Or you're allowing yourself to have moments to take a step back and relax? And not only in one way to relax, but in a cognitive way as well. It's extremely important for your subconscious mind to have room to breathe and find the solutions of what you need. So take a step back and have some fun. The fifth best idea of the book is the value of sleeping. Now, this is directly correlated to your success. You have to have good sleeping habits and patterns throughout your life if you want to succeed. Because study has shown time and time again, if you have good sleeping patterns, you're going to be more productive, you're going to be more creative, you're going to be more positive, and you're going to look at opportunities in a different light. Furthermore, within the book, he says that it's good to understand when is these moments throughout your day that you're the most productive and the most creative. And what he explains, it's usually the first couple of hours after you wake up. So not right after you wake up, but a couple hours after that. Furthermore, he explains that NASA does a lot of research on naps in itself, and there's some great value within that. And why NASA does a lot of research on nap is because when they bring their astronauts up into space, they don't see sunrise and sunset like on Earth once a day. They see it several times a day. And that really mixes up their circadian rhythm, because what happens when the sun goes up and the sun comes down, it increases your serotonin levels or your melatonin levels, which is linked up to you waking up or going to bed. They realize that when they're tired, when they're not feeling as positive, they make them go to sleep, take a little nap for 90 minutes. So essentially that's one cycle of sleep. As they're taking that nap, then they're going to come back and be powerful, and they're going to be so much more better within their work. So this is a trick to utilize. A nap, he explained, is kind of like a small vacation. So utilize your sleeping patterns in a positive way, and maybe even try to implement some nap times if it's necessary within your work. So I really enjoyed reading this book, so much so that when I initially picked it up and started reading it, I didn't think I was going to do a book review on it. But as I was going through it, I'm like, the content in here is just so amazing that I have to share it with my audience. So I definitely suggest you guys to pick it up. And honestly, where I actually found out about this book and saw Eric Barker is I saw him do an interview, and as I was listening to this man during the interview, I'm like, yo, he knows what he's talking about. So that's why it intrigued me to pick up his book. And the thing that was good is that it really did show me a different perspective of success. A lot of the things that I knew I had a perception on, over here it kind of mentions them and they show you different perspectives. So I highly suggest you guys to pick up this book. The Amazon link will be in the description below, so go ahead and do that. And the question of the day is, what are some of the methodologies or tricks or habits you use to be successful? Comment that down below. I'd love to see what the community is going to say on that end and start a great conversation with that. Furthermore, there's some videos over here that could interest you. You have over here the first one, my book review series. Over here you have my peak performance mindset series. Over here you have my entrepreneurship series, and you have my profile picture. You guys can click, subscribe, and join the family. I hope you have a blessed and grateful day.